Okay everyone, welcome back to the channel for another video on Gran Turismo Sport. It's round number 8 of the manufacturer's highlights at Laguna Seca in Group 4. So yeah, if you do enjoy these videos, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification button so you don't miss any future videos, and let me know in the comment section what you thought about this race, how your race went, etc. And yeah, we're going to get on with the highlights. So this was our qualifying session. Currently sitting in P3 with the first lap that we did. We're about to start our second lap. Luckily, with the PS5 advantage, you do get out the pit slightly earlier, so we were pretty much able to get that second lap in every single go without an issue. So starting our lap now, over the line, and we're going for our qualifying lap. We're currently in P3 as you can see there, but I knew there was a little bit more left in it. So into turn 1, doing this corner okay, keeping very tight to the apex. Very important to stay nice and tight to the apex on that corner. It will gain you a little bit of time. Then into this tricky right hand corner where you've got to use the curb on the left hand side on the power as early as we can, and we hooked that up quite nicely actually into the sector, and we're actually purple through that corner. So yeah, first sector purple, looking pretty good in qualifying. And then into this, again, quite a tricky left-hand corner. I always find this corner very tricky to keep the momentum through it, but this time we do it reasonably okay onto the power. Ran a little bit wide though, could have maybe have carried the line a little bit better through there. And then into this, again, so many tricky corners at Laguna Seca, especially in the Cayman. It felt a little bit tricky through some of these corners, but yeah, on the soft tyres it was a little bit safer than in the race on the hard tyres, but actually managed to hook that up quite nicely. Then into the corkscrew, doing that reasonably well. Early upshift into third there, and powering our way into this left-hander where you just want to get onto that curb briefly and then line yourself up into this right-hand corner where we're hooking up to the right-hand side there, just clipping the curb again and then braking just before the number 3 board there on the right-hand side, hooking it in, getting the rotation on the kart and on the power nice and early. You can see we're down to P5, so this lap was really important because qualifying was just so important for this race. Currently P5, but we luckily managed to go over the line. Nearly a 25, nearly a 25.5, just at 25.627. So luckily starting from P3 in this race. So yeah, did a reasonably job there in P1, TX3 Jack in P2, rammed in the Scirocco. Scirocco was very, very strong in qualifying and in the early part of the race. So we're sitting there in P3. Let's see how we got on in this race starting from P3. So this was the final slot of the day. It was still top split. We were in top split all the way through the night. We had some pretty decent race pace. We could see the race pace wasn't bad at all. Unfortunately, the qualifying just wasn't going well before this. But in the race previous to this, we nearly got the result that I was looking for, with 327 points. But as we went to go for an overtake, we kind of got wrong-footed by another car, and we lost 2 places trying to go past another car. So we ended up down, I think it was in P8 or 9 or something like that, and that wasn't enough points for what I wanted. However, turns out pretty decent because now we're starting in P3 in the final slot of the day. I think the winning points for this were 342 or something like that, I think. But you can see straight away from the start, just look how fast that Scirocco is. I was actually thinking, is he on the soft tyres at the start? It's because it was just so fast on acceleration. No, he's not on soft tyres. That is just how fast the Scirocco is at the early part of the race. However, the race will come back to us a bit, obviously, with the Mazda in P1 and Scirocco in P2. Both of them cars are not the best on tyre wear. However, we did see Spider in the Subaru, the WRX Subaru, which is pretty good on tyre wear though, to be fair. We did see him manage to do an insanely fast finishing time in the Subaru earlier in the day. So yeah, I think he did it in, like, I think faster than some of the times that we saw before that by B Racing and stuff. So yeah, the Subaru can do well. The 4-wheel drives can clearly do well here, and the Scirocco can also do well if you can look after tyres. So let's see how this pans out. We're fast forwarding the action here as we're just a little bit behind the slipstream, but what I noticed was as we started building up momentum, we started to start putting some good laps in as we go over the line there with the fastest lap of the race currently. Now that was quite good to see, so we know the pace is going to be there because yeah, Cayman was not bad here. Cayman was very, very, very strong here. But what I will say, on hard tyres, I've always struggled with the Cayman at Laguna Seca. If you remember the Nations round when we really struggled. However, this was a 5th slot, so we have done quite a lot of driving by this point. Remember, a lot of people would have done a lot of testing and stuff. This is our testing. Doing the races was our testing. And by this point now, I felt a little bit more confident with the car around here. I was starting to get used to where to push the car where to let it coast, where to, you know, get it into the apex before you get on the throttle and stuff like that. It was all starting to come together as we've managed to get ourselves into the slipstream of the Scirocco in front of us. You can see really pretty close now going down the main straight, working our way behind the Scirocco. You can see all the dust kicking up from the Mazda and the Scirocco, and you can see just behind me there we've got the Toyota 86, which was my main concern in this race. That 86 was probably my biggest concern because the Toyota 86 was the strongest car for this race. I don't think there was a strong car. Maybe the Megane would have been pretty good as well, but no one's really gone Renault as far as I could tell, and there was no real Meganes in this race, which was quite lucky because I think the Megane would have been insanely strong at this combination. Quite surprised that no one picked Renault for overall through the whole season, really. But yeah, following behind the Scirocco here now, we're just trying to stay in the slipstream at this stage, and we're just going to try and wear him down, really, because we know that we're going to get faster, really, while they get slower, because their tyres are going to start fading. So while we're in the slipstream, we're just going to look after the tyres. I did find that zero brake bias worked a treat in the Cayman round here. Now, last time we did this, I think we started on +2 when it was the Nations race, and then we worked our way to +1, but zero brake bias for some reason just felt really solid on the hard tyres. It felt really good with the Cayman, so there was no real tyre wear issues anyway. The Cayman still drives pretty well with front tyre wear, even when it's got the wear. So yeah, it seemed the way to go, because I changed it in the previous race and we got a really good race out of that, and we nearly got to ourselves to the top 6 in top split. This one, doing it again here, and you can just see the car's just driving more stable. It just feels more confident. I can get on the power earlier, I can get on the brakes, at the, you know, keeping the car stable into corners. And out of there, we've got very close to the Scirocco, but then again, you're going to see that Scirocco with that power of that car just pulls away on the straight. Even though we're in the slipstream, not really much we can do, but trying to stay as close as we can as we fast forward the action again, trying to stay as close as we physically can all the way through these corners. Very tricky corners in the slipstream, that corner in particular, very difficult. And then through the corkscrew, again, that's a pretty tricky corner. I did notice that the Scirocco and the Mazda were very, very strong on the corkscrew and on the exit of the corkscrew. Obviously, because of the traction of the Mazda as well, four-wheel drive, it was very strong out of corner exits. It was just stable. The car didn't move around a lot. Obviously, the Cayman is MR, so it does tend to be a little bit trickier on the exit of the corkscrew. You see it every time. Cayman just lost a little bit of ground again there as we're fast-forwarding the action through these laps here, as we are getting close, though. And you can see, at the moment, we're just driving smooth. I knew I needed to be patient with this, because in the previous race we got a little bit aggressive, and we probably cost myself positions by trying to go for an overtake when we could have been a bit more patient. But this time we've got no one behind us. We've got a nice 1.2 second gap, so we, you know, patience is the key in this. We just need to take our time following that slipstream and wait for the opportunity before we go for anything silly. I know this car in front is going to start fading, and also the Mazda is going to be a bit weaker towards the end of the race than the Cayman, so this is going to be a really close battle. But finding a way past the Scirocco isn't the easiest thing. That is the only problem. That car is just so fast on acceleration. We've really got to just try and get it in an area where the Cayman's really strong. So into the braking zone there, had a little look there. The Cayman was quite strong into this area of the track. I did notice that other cars didn't seem as strong as a Cayman into that second to last corner, so that was an opportunity to try and get close and go for a move in the final corner. That seemed like one of the best areas for the Cayman to really go for a move. There wasn't really many other places that you could do it unless you can get really close. For example, now we're getting very close to the Scirocco in front through here, and we actually get on the power really early, and we've got a bit of a run on the Scirocco. You can see he's going to the left, and we're actually just going to take that inside line. I think he almost gives that up and lets us through there, as he's probably looking to save some tyres on that Scirocco, because obviously when you're in the slipstream, you're able to just brake a little bit earlier, lift and coast, and just save your tyre wear. So that is probably what he's doing there, because you can see the Mazda was probably starting to pull away ever so slightly from his slipstream. And yeah, now we can try and push on, fast forward the action, as we're going to try and push on and see if we can now catch the Mazda in front of us up. The other good thing about this is now we've got a car in between us and that Toyota 86. So obviously now that we've got that car in between, that's a nice little buffer, because the 86 is going to be strong all the way through this race, and we've got a car there to just put in between that's going to be struggling a bit, and now we can just concentrate on P1. Are we going to be able to manage to catch him up? You can see we're getting closer and closer as we rejoin the action now, and we've definitely got a lot closer there, putting in some okay lap times there, just trying to keep it consistent, not trying to overdrive the car. So easy to make a mistake at Laguna Seca in Group 4. We actually seen a lot of drivers making so many errors throughout the day, some of the top drivers doing it as well. It is a very easy track to make that mistake on. So now that we're in the slipstream, We've just got to try and start putting him under a bit of pressure. But again, I need to be a bit more patient than what we was in the previous slot, where we went for a move and it ended up costing me 2 positions. And yeah, I got a bit frustrated with that. But now we're in a pretty nice position in P2 in this race. We're following behind P1. We've got a pretty nice gap to the Scirocco. You can see we're starting to drop the Scirocco out of that slipstream range, as that Scirocco is starting to fade a bit on the front tyre wear, because obviously we all know FF cars do fade a lot. So this is where my argument with the BOP comes in. I get that the Scirocco is really strong. However, the thing is, when you add tyre wear into it with the Scirocco, you tend to see that the Scirocco will fade in the race. So it's kind of a balance, and I actually think the BOP is not too bad at the moment. It does seem like there's quite a good variety of cars competing. I mean, we've got 4 different cars in the top 4 here at the moment, and they're all competing. So yeah, it's not perfect, the BOP, but what I will say is it's probably one of the best BOPs we've had in a long time. The only problem that happens is the BOP is quite off when there's no tyre wear. But yeah, this race is looking like quite a good one for me at the moment. I was really enjoying this. It was really, really intense, I have to say. I think it was intense when we streamed it as well. As we come through this corner, we get very close to that Mazda, trying to line the car up, but just look how strong that 4-wheel drive Mazda is on the exits of corners. We're not able to do what we did to the Scirocco because the Mazda is just so much stronger getting on the power. It's just very difficult to go for a move, so we're just trying to follow as close as we can through it. Again, through this right hand corner, the Mazda seemed a little bit weaker through to carrying the speed through that corner, as that corner is a little bit faster. That's the type of corner the Cayman really likes. 3rd and 4th and 5th gear corners, Cayman is pretty strong. And again, working our way up the hill, pretty weak section of track here. However, the Cayman is pretty strong through this left hand corner, obviously. You know, again, a third gear corner. You can see we managed to get a pretty nice run on him. He's gone defensive. We're going to go to the right hand side of the track. Now, we're not going to try and hang it around the outside because that'd be risky. So instead, I brake nice and early. Just try and give him a, wrong foot him slightly. But again, the Mazda just so stable and so good on the power with that 4-wheel drive. It's almost stuck to the tarmac through there compared to the Cayman. But yeah, again, through this right hand corner, again, this flowing 3rd gear corner. And again, you can see we are a little bit stronger there. I had a little look down the left. We're not going to be able to go for that. That would have been a bit too aggressive, I think, there. We were too far back to go for a move. And again, just getting as close as we can as we fast forward the action, coming out of the final corner, over the start finishing line and into the braking zone. Again, very, very close. Trying to find a way past, trying to just put him under pressure really here. You never know. If you just stick to someone's rear, just keep looking up the inside every now and then. Sometimes it can put them into the pressure to make that mistake that is vital to go for a move. But as you see, again, looking up the inside again there before we chuck it into this right hand corner again. The Cayman pretty strong through there. He actually does that a little bit better this time. And now into the very tricky left hand corner before the corkscrew. Both of us do that pretty well. And then into the corkscrew. And we're just trying to stay as close as we can. You can see fast forwarding the action, staying as close as we can. Again, through this right hand corner. Again, you can see how we gain a little bit. But again, we have that look and then back out of it. It's all about just keeping him aware that we're in that mirror and just letting him see the car, letting him feel the pressure, and then we work our way down the hill into the next braking zone. Fast forward in action again as we complete another lap there, and starting lap 13 now. Let's see if we can put him under pressure on this lap again. Getting closer and closer, and he's actually starting to hold me up a little bit now. You can see the lap times have dropped off into the 29s, so we're starting to lose 6 tenths a lap, something like that, as we have a little look down the right hand side. And again, we're going to brake nice and early, and this time we're going to try and stay as close as we can through the corkscrew. And this time we actually do a better job, but we stay to the left here. You can see trying to stay out of his slipstream just so that we don't get as much dirty air there. And then into the braking zone for this corner, you can see right behind him, and just trying to make sure we get a nice clean exit. We're going to go to the right hand side, do a nice little fake, and then up the inside. We've kind of wrong footed him there, up the inside, and I don't think he's going to fight that too much, because I think that he kind of knows at this point that the tyre wear advantage on the Cayman, it's not worth battling too much. So some quite good racecraft from that driver there. He's not going to fight it too much. He's just going to, I think you can see he's going to the right hand side now to try and fight it back, but he's not really being ultra aggressive with it. You can see that I think he's just accepted that position, and now he's going to try and use my slipstream to help him out. So let's take a little look at that move and how it started. It was quite a good move actually. We started it quite early on. As you go through, you can see coming through that left hand corner, we get the run up again on going up the hill with the slipstream. We go to the right hand side just to try and make him take a tight angle. I brake very early, try and get the car into the apex perfectly here. He'd gone with quite a defensive line there, and then you can see through this corner we stay to the left, trying to stay out of that slipstream just so that we don't get that understeer. We hook it up almost perfectly onto the curb there, and then into this corner you can see using the curb on the left, getting that nice exit from the corner, looking to the right and then faking it up the left. And you can see we got the car just enough up the inside, braked almost perfectly there onto the apex, and a nice clean move to put ourselves into the lead of this race. And if I really didn't think we were going to win this race before we started it. So even though this is the final slot of the day, it is still top split. It might not be the most competitive lobby, but there's still some very, very good drivers in this race. So we're still in P1 of a top split race. So if we can hold on to this, it'll be absolutely brilliant. So noticing straight away that we seem to be able to just start dropping them a bit. You can see coming out of some of the corners, the Mazda obviously getting the slipstream on the straights, very strong. But then through the corners, the Cayman, driven by myself, seems to start pulling away, and it's looking very good for a win. However, this track can really bite you. You know, one little mistake, one lapse of concentration, and it will punish you really bad. So just trying to keep it nice and smooth through here. Again, onto this final section here, smooth through onto the curb there, trying to keep it smooth into the next braking zone. We're looking out for that number 3 ball. We don't want to make any mistakes. It gives him the opportunity. But you can see, looking back in the mirror, you can really see that he looks like he's struggling to stay with the Cayman as we go down to the start finishing line. And you can see how much we were getting held up with, where we were doing like 29 ones and stuff like that. We're now back into the 28 5s. So 6 tenths quicker straight away when we've got no one in front of us. Shows you how much we were losing. I think we lost a bit of time behind the Scirocco, a little bit behind the Mazda, and it all builds up. But now we've got clean air, we can just concentrate on just keeping it nice and smooth right the way to the finish. We've only got a few laps to go. We're on lap 15 and not very long at all. You can see we've actually nearly lost him out of the slipstream there already, and it was just every corner you could just see that the Cayman was just a little bit stronger than the Mazda. So we skip ahead to the final lap. You can see we got that gap up to 1.5 seconds pretty much, and the final lap now we were just taking it really, really smooth. I was taking no risks in this final lap, keeping it as, you know, easy through the corner, not even pushing it all through there. You can see 96, 97 miles per hour. We were doing 100 before, so it really does show you I was just being ultra cautious, because there's no need to lose this on the final lap. We're going to take it really smooth through the corkscrew again, taking no risk with the track limits and getting a penalty. Nice and smooth into the final sector now, touching the curb on the inside, not risking going too far wide there, and then into the final 2 corners. No real room to make an error now, as long as you take it nice and smooth, and we're going to come away with a very well earned victory. I have to say, this was one of the better victories I've had in a while, because we had a tough day during the day, but then we started to get a bit of pace in. I think it was slot 3. Slot 4, our pace was much better. We were doing some very good lap times, but then we just got, obviously that just got held up a bit, and I think we went for the move and it ended up costing us a few positions. But this race, qualified well, raced almost faultlessly, and we're going to take P1 in a top split race again. So this season's been going really well for me. Considering we haven't been putting practice in, it's actually been going exceptionally well, and we get that nice victory and a very nice 300, and I think it's 342 points. Let's just take a look as our car lines up there, and yeah, it's gonna be 342, I think. Let's have a little look at the time. Yeah, 342 points, absolutely perfect. So that is another improvement in my score for the total season, for the season so far. And we now have all rounds. I think the minimum now is 343 for the 4 rounds that count. So yeah, going well. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hit that thumbs up if you did enjoy it, and we'll be back with more videos, streams, and live content. Take care, everyone.